Hi, I'm Madison and this is Devised Skies. Today I'm going to be taking a break from the main Percy Jackson and the Olympians series and focusing on one of the side books, the Demigod Files. This book was published in 2009 and came out prior to The Last Olympian and was kind of a filler book with a couple of side stories to help the readers carry on until the final book came out. If you are new to my type of book reviews, I usually divide them into 3 sections: non-spoilers, spoilers, and then future, where I talk about the future books. However, today I'm just going to do non-spoiler and spoiler, and in that spoiler section I will be talking about the future because this book is just so heavily foreshadowing things to come. So let's get started with our non-spoiler section. This book is a good filler book and it has 3 side stories: the Stolen Chariot, the Bronze Dragon, and the Sword of Hades. It also includes interviews with the Stoll brothers, Clarice, Annabeth, Grover, and Percy, and has some background information on some of the gods like Zeus, Poseidon, Ares, Athena, as well as our 3 main characters, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. It has a map of camp and a little outlook of Annabeth's trunk. There are also some really fun activities in the back and a glimpse of the first chapter of The Last Olympian. It is very much a book to kind of help fill your Percy Jackson wants and needs as you're waiting for this last book to come out. But I find it extremely interesting to go back and look at because it is very heavily foreshadowing the future that is to come in this universe. And so I highly recommend reading it. I know a lot of people don't like to read the side books, but I do recommend them. Rick is very good at writing them. And if you listen to the audiobooks, it's really cool because Rick has a letter that is at the front of this book, and he's the one that reads that, as well as later on in the interview section, he is the one asking the questions, and then the narrator who normally narrates the books is the one answering them. And so I thought that was really cool. And I highly recommend listening to the audiobook of this version. Anyway, that is all I have for non-spoilers. I'm going to move into my spoiler section now, which I will be spoiling the next book in the series, The Last Olympian, as well as the Heroes of Olympus series. So if you haven't read all of those yet, I'm sorry, but come back later. Alright, let's move into spoilers, which I'm going to talk about them in the order of the stories that happen. And so we're going to start off with the Stolen Chariot. One thing that I thought was interesting about all of these stories is kind of the timeline. So we know Clarice is turning 15, and that's about it. I personally feel like this takes place before Titan's Curse even, because in Titan's Curse, Clarice is not there, and Percy is asking about her, which I don't feel like Percy would ask about her if they didn't have this adventure together. And so my personal opinion is that this takes place before Titan's Curse, but I don't know. What are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know in a comment down below. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. So moving on to the Bronze Dragon. Again, with the timeline, it says that it takes place after 2 weeks after his last quest, and we know that Charlie Beckendorf is 18 and about to go to college, and so that makes me think this takes place like in the Battle of the Labyrinth, kind of like in that little space where Percy's describing how camp is, like before he goes home and celebrates his birthday. I think that's when this takes place, but it also could be after the Sea of Monsters, but that one seems less likely to me. But I don't remember how old Beckendorf is in The Last Olympian when we meet him and Percy kind of talks a little bit more about him. I'm not sure. If you are aware of that, let me know again in a comment down below. I really like that this story is just a bit more romantic. I like getting to see Charlie and Selena go on their first date and kind of the banter between Annabeth and Percy and all of that. But we also have some hints of the books to come. We meet Festus, which at this point in time, we have no clue what that's about, but it makes me think that Rick really knew where he was going in the next series and all of that, and so we get background on Festus, so when we meet him in Heroes of Olympus, we feel more connected to him. Also, speaking of Heroes of Olympus, in that series we learn about charm speak, which I wonder if Selena has, because she just tells the dragon what to do and he does it. And so I'm like, that seems a little bit like charm speak to me. I don't know. But yes, this story was fun to get to interact with Charlie and Selena before before we don't get to see them anymore. Then we move into the interviews with the campers, which I absolutely loved getting to know the campers better and getting to know kind of the shenanigans that goes on at camp. That was really fun. We get hints of Percabeth, which is nice, and we even get hints of Michael Yu and the conflict that's to come. And so I think that's a big flag of what is happening in The Last Olympian. And then our final story is The Sword of Hades, which this one says it takes place right before Christmas break in Percy's 9th grade year. So we know exactly when this takes place, in between the Battle of the Labyrinth and The Last Olympian. This one was the easiest to place on the timeline. I loved getting to see a reunion of the big three kids. We don't see the three of them interact, just the three of them. I don't think anywhere else outside of this moment right here. And so I really enjoyed it. I liked getting to see them work together in their powers. Anyway, we also get hints of the end of the Battle of the Labyrinth with Percy and his deal. Now I'm going to move into all of the stuff that happens in the Heroes of Olympus. We meet Bob. Also, Thalia looking through the dead, and Percy's like, oh, is it your mom? And I personally feel like she's looking for Jason. And again, right now we don't know that, but I feel like we're getting some Jason hints. Anyway, I think that Rick just, like I said in my Battle of the Labyrinth thing, I think he knows where he's going in the Heroes of Olympus. I feel like he might have even had it written at this point in time, and so he knew how to connect and what needed to be brought up. And so I think that he does a really good job of foreshadowing not only The Last Olympian in this book, but foreshadowing Heroes of Olympus and getting people even more excited. And I think that is why Rick is so good at writing all of these spin-off series and people still loving them and being interested in them, is because they don't feel like a last-minute thought, you know? He is hinting at them so early on and bringing them all together, and I think it's an amazing writing style. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by hitting that like button down below. What are your thoughts on this book? Did you read it? Did you not? I know some people don't like to read the side stories, spin-offs, but I highly recommend it. If you'd like to see more Percy Jackson content, we have a whole playlist already on this channel, and we talk about other types of books outside of Percy Jackson, so if you're interested in that, you can subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!